Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalia Leigh. I'm an indie author and freelance editor, and today I have a video to help you survive the week 2 and week 3 NaNoWRIMO slump. Now, I am not participating in NaNoWRIMO this year because of a slew of kind of unfortunate events and things that have just happened, but I have participated in NaNoWRIMO quite a few times, and I have also won NaNoWRIMO quite a few times. So I understand how it feels the second week of NaNoWRIMO, how you're coming off of this high, like you start NaNoWRIMO, you are so excited, you have so much inspiration and muse, and you just want to write, and then suddenly you hit like day 9, day 10, 11, 12, and you're just not having fun anymore. It's a real struggle. Getting 1,667 words a day is becoming probably more and more difficult. So I have 7 tips today for you to try to help you through the NaNoWRIMO slump. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, my first tip you are already doing, essentially, and that is to watch YouTube videos. Watch videos from other people who are participating in NaNoWRIMO for NaNoWRIMO camaraderie. You can commiserate with other writers who are participating in NaNoWRIMO. That is actually one of the highlights of NaNoWRIMO for me, and that's just like being in this slump together with everybody else who is struggling through November as well and struggling to get 50,000 words on the page in 1 month. It's insane. It is not easily done, but it can be done. So I definitely find watching YouTube videos, watching vlogs, tips, anything like that can be incredibly helpful because you feel like you're supported and you know that other people are going through the exact same thing that you are. My second tip is to listen to your playlist. Now, if you picked up the Preptober workbook this year, let me show you. If you got the Preptober workbook this year, let's take the sleeve off of it. There were pages in here dedicated to creating a writing playlist. If you don't already have the Preptober workbook, you can still get it. It's just donation based. You can get it at natalialeigh.com. But of course, you don't have to have this for this tip. I just talked about it in the workbook. You should have a writing playlist. You should have a collection of songs that get you inspired to work on your project. So I have an entire playlist just dedicated to Pistol Daisy. I had a playlist just dedicated to Song the DRYAD, a playlist just dedicated to Fire Tongue. And these are just songs, a collection of songs that either help you like picture new scenes. I love to daydream while I'm working on a new book, you know, while I'm outlining or writing the first draft, or even while I'm editing. I love to just listen to my playlist and like daydream about these really amazing scenes playing out and all these like dramatic things happening. It's something that I have always really enjoyed doing. It's something that really helps me get inspired. So if you don't already have a playlist, I highly recommend you start one. You can start one here on YouTube. This is how I create all my playlists. So if you don't have one, I highly recommend you create one. And if you do have one, maybe pop on, like put your earbuds in, go for a walk or clean the house or take a shower while listening to the music. Like just do something that allows you to kind of zone out, listen to your playlist, and kind of refill your creative well. Music is a huge inspiration for me, and I'm guessing that it's probably inspiring for a lot of you as well. So make sure you are listening to your playlist. It'll help a lot. Tip number 3, and this is not a sponsored video, but I have to talk about this. Tip number 3 is to get excited about Campfire's self-publishing contest. Now, if you haven't heard of Campfire's self-publishing contest, I will link my previous video down below, and I will link it to the exact location in the video where I talk about this. Campfire is hosting a humongous self-publishing giveaway. They are essentially giving away about $3,000 in self-publishing aid. So if you have not heard of that, I highly recommend it. Check out that video down below. All right, tip number 4. This one is a little bit more serious because I always have to take it in a little bit of a serious direction, and that is to remember why you're doing this in the first place. I love NaNoWRIMO because it's so insane. Like, we're all just struggling to write 50,000 words in a month. There's a lot of fun that surrounds the month of November and NaNoWRIMO for me, but it's also very serious because when I start to struggle on a project, I remind myself, why am I putting myself through this in the first place? What am I trying to achieve? And it is always, I have to remember, like, I am going to hold that book in my hand. This is what I am working toward. Even though it's really tough right now, I'm going to publish this book. People are going to read this book. People are going to enjoy this book. Some people aren't going to enjoy it. Get clear and focused on why you are doing this in the first place. Get serious and think, all right, if I actually want to write this book, NaNoWRIMO is a wonderful experience because everybody is struggling at the exact same time. So it helps you not feel alone while you're like down in the dumps essentially with your project, especially because we're talking about week 2 of NaNoWRIMO. You probably, if you have been keeping up with the daily word count, you are likely getting into Act 2. As of Monday the 9th, you should be sitting at about 15,000 words. And at 15,000 words, of course, it depends on the project that you're working on, but you're likely getting into Act 2. And Act 2 is always really difficult for me. I always struggle through Act 2. It's like the boring, mundane middle. It's the hardest part for me to write. But you have to remember why you're doing this and get serious about it. And that is how I have won NaNoWRIMOs in the past. If you're just participating in NaNoWRIMO for the fun of it, that's wonderful. But if you are participating in NaNoWRIMO because you really want to finish this book, you really want to publish this book, you want to continue on this journey, then at some point you do have to kind of crack down and say, even though this is hard and even though sometimes it sucks and I don't want to write and I have to force myself to write, that's part of the process. And remember, it's only for NaNoWRIMO. Like, it's only for this month of November. So even if it's really hard right now, even if you're like, oh my God, the last thing I want to do today is write, remember why you're doing it. Get serious for your project. Get serious for yourself. And even if you don't want to, sometimes you just have to put your butt in the chair and get some words written. All right, tip number 5, back to the fun ones. This is to participate in live streams here on AuthorTube. There are so many going on that I can't even begin to tell you what all the live streams are. If you are somebody who is going to be hosting live streams in the next few weeks, if you know of live streams that are coming up, please leave them in the comments down below so that other people can see them as well. Again, if you did get the Preptober workbook this year, there is a live stream tracker where you can write down all the dates and times, and you can write down the channel that's hosting them. So please let us know down below any live streams that are coming up. I have 2 to remind you about. November 15th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. That is going to be on my channel. And then November 30th, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, that is going to be on Mandy Lynn's channel. So those are 2 upcoming live streams if you want to participate in those. But there are so many others, like they are popping up all over my YouTube right now. I haven't written them down because I'm not participating in NaNoWRIMO this year, but I highly recommend you write them down, put them in your bullet journal or your planner, or stick them, you know, on the refrigerator, anywhere you need to remember them. Because live streams, again, like this whole thing with NaNoWRIMO for me is like camaraderie and commiserating together through the struggles. And live streams are a wonderful way to do that. If you hear that sound in the background, my AC just kicked on. It's a warm day here. So tip number 6 in this, I have some bright light there. Tip number 6, this is something that I have been doing actually for writing, yes, but also primarily for editing and just in terms of getting a lot of work done and being productive. That's doing writing sprints, or like the Pomodoro method is something that I have really been enjoying. And there are a few different ways I do this. You can look up the Pomodoro method and somebody can actually fully explain it to you. Essentially the way I do it is I just go to like a Pomodoro timer, and I think it's like 20 or 25 minutes of dedicated work, and then you get a little break, and then you do that 4 times, and then you get a long break. So it's essentially focused work, break, focused work, break. And something I've been doing without using the Pomodoro timer is, this is gonna sound funny, but this helps me a lot. Let's say I have to edit 50 pages for a client in a day. I will tell myself, all right, for every 10 pages that I edit, I get a little reward for myself. And recently what I have been rewarding myself with are YouTube videos. So I will do 10 pages and then I will allow myself to watch 5 minutes of a YouTube video. And what I like to do is find typically a longer video, maybe a 20-minute video or a 30-minute video that I'm really excited about watching, and then I can only watch 5 minutes at a time for each, 10 pages that I edit. So I edit 10 pages, I get to watch 5 minutes of that YouTube video that's really exciting to me. And some people might think that it's not good to kind of break up work like that, but I find it really, really helpful, because if I just kind of put my head down, whether, again, like whether I'm editing for a client or whether I am working on one of my own creative projects, if I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna force myself to edit 50 pages straight, or I'm gonna force myself to write 1,667 words today, right now in this very moment, I burn out very quickly because it feels like such an overwhelming thing that I'm trying to do, or that you're trying to do. So by breaking it down and giving myself these little rewards throughout that process, I get so much work done, and I also don't feel burned out because I'm taking those frequent, 5-minute breaks. And it just keeps me excited about the work that I'm doing. And it also keeps me excited about, okay, I'm gonna finish these 10 pages, or I'm gonna write these 400 words so that I can then take my little break. So definitely writing sprints, the Pomodoro method, whatever you wanna call it. Focused work for a certain amount of time, or a certain amount of words, a certain amount of pages, and then give yourself a little bit of a break and just do that back and forth. All right, tip number 7, this is going to be my last tip of the day. And of course, this is probably not going to work for NaNoWRIMO Rebels. So this is for, like, I think they called them the old school Rimos, people who are actually writing a first draft for NaNoWRIMO. And that is just to remember that this is your first draft. This is the first draft. Like, you don't have to take it too seriously. I'm definitely the type of person who kind of advocates for get the words on the page, especially during NaNoWRIMO. NaNoWRIMO has led me to Song the DRYAD. Like, I wrote 50,000 words for Song the DRYAD back in 2017, I want to say it was. And then I ended up throwing away 49,000 words. But that NaNoWRIMO was not a waste, because the 50,000 words that I wrote of the very first draft of Song of the DRYAD really helped me nail down what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, what is this story about, what isn't this story about. So even if you win NaNoWRIMO and then you end up throwing away the majority of, or even all of the words you wrote in November, you will be better off, because you will be 50,000 words into that journey. You will either say, I have 50,000 words that I can work with, or maybe I only have 1,000 words that I can work with. And that's what I had to work with back in 2017 when I finished that first draft of Song of the DRYAD. But just get the words down, have fun with it. You do need to be serious at times to develop that, writing habit, even if it's just for the month of November. But just get the words down, and you will feel so good at the end of NaNoWRIMO, having written 50,000 words, even if you don't end up using all of them. So instead of like sitting there staring at your screen, struggling for 3 hours because you can't decide, what sentence to put down, just push through it. Just push through it. When it comes time to write your second draft, your third draft, your fourth, fifth, sixth, however many drafts you're going to write, you will hone that story, and it'll get better and better and better. But this is just the first draft, so try to have as much fun with it as you possibly can. All right, those are my 7 tips for surviving the second week slump, or even the third week slump during NaNoWRIMO. I always have a lot of fun the first week and the last week. The first week because I have all this inspiration and excitement, and the last week because it is finally wrapping up and it'll almost be done. So I hope you guys are all doing really well. I hope your loved ones are well. I hope that your story is coming along well. And remember, this coming Sunday, November 15th, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time is our live stream. I'll be live streaming with Brooke and Mandy. I haven't live streamed in a couple of months. I've been going through quite a rough patch. You can look back at my last 2 videos if you haven't gotten a chance to kind of catch up with all the crap that's just been going on. But I'm feeling pretty good, and yeah, I am definitely planning on live streaming this coming Sunday, so I hope to see you there. If you have any requests for content, feel free to leave them down below. And again, if you know of upcoming live streams, please put them down there. The date, the time zone, so that we can all around the world figure out what time that is for us, and then also the person who is hosting it, so that we can all participate in live streams together. Okay, everybody? Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!